Under the fading glow of the city lights, the rain poured relentlessly over the black asphalt. The sound of thunder echoed faintly in the distance, but what cut through it was the desperate plea of a woman. "Please, don't hurt me. I can't walk." Her voice trembled with fear, and her designer heels were splattered with mud. This wasn't how a powerful CEO was supposed to look. Not tonight, not ever. Amelia Hart, the name that commanded boardrooms, now stood broken in a dark alley, her ankle twisted, her pride shattered. She had been on her way home after another grueling day of negotiations. The deal she'd closed that evening would change her company's future, but fate, it seemed, had other plans. Her driver had fallen ill suddenly, forcing her to drive herself for the first time in years. One wrong turn, a sudden flash of headlights behind her, and everything spiraled out of control. The men appeared out of nowhere, 3 of them, rough and faceless in the rain. They cornered her before she could even reach for her phone. That's when she fell, her ankle giving way as panic surged through her chest. "Please," she whispered again, her voice breaking. The leader of the group smirked, stepping closer, his shadow looming over her. Just as the fear gripped her throat, a figure emerged from the darkness, tall, broad-shouldered, his silhouette illuminated by the faint streetlight. He spoke with a calm authority that silenced the chaos. "That's enough." His voice was low but steady, carrying an unmistakable edge. The men froze, then laughed, underestimating the stranger. They shouldn't have. The next few moments happened too quickly. A fist cut through the rain, one man stumbled back, another fell with a groan. The stranger moved with precision, not out of rage, but necessity. When the last of them ran, the alley was left silent again, save for the sound of rain and Amelia's uneven breathing. She looked up, dazed. The man stood above her, soaked but composed. "Are you hurt?" he asked gently. I think my ankle," she murmured. The stranger knelt beside her, his hands surprisingly careful as he examined her leg. "It's swollen," he said. "You can't walk like this." Amelia tried to protest, pride flaring back to life, but the pain made her wince. Without another word, he lifted her into his arms. Her head rested against his chest, the rhythm of his heartbeat oddly reassuring. She could smell the faint trace of soap and rain. "You shouldn't have helped me," she whispered. "It's dangerous." The man gave a faint, tired smile. "Maybe, but leaving someone behind, that's worse." When he set her down inside a small roadside diner, the warmth hit her like a wave. The neon light flickered, and an older waitress looked up, startled. "Daniel, what happened?" The man, Daniel, simply said, "She's hurt. Can you get some ice?" He sat Amelia down and wrapped his jacket around her shoulders. Amelia watched him closely now. His hands were rough, his clothes simple, yet everything about him radiated quiet strength. "You knew them?" she asked after a moment. Daniel shook his head. "No, but I've seen their type before." He avoided her eyes as he spoke, his tone heavy. Something about him carried a past, one that wasn't easy to talk about. When the waitress brought the ice, Daniel carefully placed it over her ankle. Amelia flinched, then sighed. "You're good at this," she said softly. He looked at her for the first time, his eyes steady and kind. "Used to be a medic," he replied. "Before everything changed." Silence filled the air. The rain outside slowed, leaving only the soft hum of the diner's old refrigerator. Amelia studied him again, his worn-out jacket, the faint scar along his jawline, the weariness in his eyes. "You live around here?" she asked. Daniel nodded. "Not far. Just me and my daughter." He hesitated, then added quietly, "She's 6. Amelia blinked, surprised. "A single dad?" He smiled faintly. "Yeah. Her mom passed away years ago. Been just us since." Something inside her shifted at his words. The man who had risked himself for her wasn't some reckless hero. He was a father, holding his life together piece by piece. "You must love her a lot," she said softly. Daniel's gaze softened. "More than anything. She's my reason for everything." As the night deepened, they talked about his daughter, about her work, about the strange way life could twist paths that were never meant to meet. Amelia found herself telling him things she hadn't told anyone, about the loneliness of power, the emptiness that came with success. People think having it all means being happy, she said. But it just means having more to lose. Daniel listened without judgment. Maybe happiness isn't about what we have, he said quietly. Maybe it's about who we have. His words lingered, sinking deep into her. For the first time in years, she felt seen. When morning came, Daniel helped her to her car. You shouldn't drive, he said. I'll call a tow truck. Amelia hesitated, then handed him her business card. Come by my office sometime, she said. I'd like to repay you. He smiled, shaking his head. You don't owe me anything. But she insisted. Please, she said. At least let me thank you properly. Daniel finally nodded. All right, maybe I'll bring my daughter. She'd like to meet someone important. Days passed, and Amelia found herself thinking about him more than she wanted to admit. The world of board meetings and deadlines felt emptier than before. One afternoon, when her assistant mentioned that a man named Daniel was waiting in the lobby with a little girl, Amelia's heart skipped a beat. The child ran up to her first, bright eyes, messy curls, and a smile that could light up any room. Hi, I'm Lily, she said proudly. Amelia crouched down, smiling. Hello, Lily, I'm Amelia. The girl giggled. Daddy said you're a boss lady. Amelia laughed softly. Something like that. Daniel stood behind her, looking slightly uncomfortable in his old jacket. Amelia offered them both coffee, and soon the three of them sat together in her glass-walled office, overlooking the skyline. So this is where you run the world, Daniel teased. She rolled her eyes, but couldn't help smiling. Over the next few weeks, Daniel and Lily became unexpected fixtures in her life. Amelia found herself visiting their small apartment, sharing meals that Daniel cooked, laughing with Lily as they watched old cartoons. For once, the world outside didn't matter. She wasn't the CEO anymore, she was just Amelia. One evening, as they sat by the window watching the sunset, Lily climbed into her lap. Are you sad sometimes? The little girl asked. Amelia froze for a moment. Sometimes, she admitted, but not when I'm here. Lily smiled. Then you should stay more. Daniel looked at her then, a look that held gratitude, warmth, and something deeper. She's right, he said softly. You bring light here. Amelia's chest tightened. She wasn't used to being needed like this, not for her power or her money, but for who she was. Weeks turned into months. The bond between them grew naturally. Quiet dinners, school pickups, laughter echoing through Daniel's home. But with every passing day, Amelia felt torn between two worlds, the ruthless corporate arena and the peaceful simplicity she'd found with them. Her board began to notice her distraction. Rumors spread, whispers that the once untouchable CEO was losing focus. Amelia tried to ignore them, but pressure mounted. One night, after a particularly brutal meeting, she broke down in Daniel's kitchen. I can't do this anymore, she confessed. They're tearing me apart. Daniel stepped closer, his voice calm but firm. Then stop fighting alone. You don't have to prove anything anymore. She looked at him, tears glistening in her eyes. I don't know how to stop. He reached out, brushing her tears away. Start by being human. You've been strong long enough. In that quiet moment, something inside her broke, not in pain, but in release. She realized that strength wasn't always about control. Sometimes, it was about letting go. Months later, the headlines told a different story. Amelia Hart, the feared CEO, had stepped down voluntarily, announcing a foundation dedicated to helping single parents rebuild their lives. At the press conference, she smiled genuinely for the first time in years. And beside her, in the audience, sat Daniel and Lily, beaming with pride. That night, after the cameras were gone, Amelia found herself walking along the same street where she had once begged for help. The rain began to fall again, softly this time. She looked up at the sky, feeling no fear, only gratitude. Daniel appeared beside her, holding an umbrella. Deja vu? He asked. She laughed. Maybe. Except this time, I'm not alone. He looked at her, his eyes warm. You were never meant to be. And as they walked together under the rain, Amelia realized that the moment she thought her world was ending, it had only just begun. Love, she learned, doesn't always arrive in grand gestures or perfect timing. Sometimes, it comes quietly, in the form of a stranger who refuses to walk away. And in that small act of kindness, everything changes forever.